Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Heart of Sports with Jason Springer and Jeff Cohen, powered by ELEC 825. We are thrilled to join you on WWDB 860 AM, 97.5 HD2, part of the Beasley Media Group, ready to help you move into the weekend talking about all the news in the world of sports. There's really just one thing we want to talk about right now, right, Jeff?
Well, there's one thing we don't want to talk about, but I guess we have to, the elephant in the room. So the Sixers deciding that they weren't going to go out in the second round, they were going to go out in the first round. So I
That's
think
true.
the best way to do it is to talk to the guy that actually knows the Sixers best. So we got him here, Keith Pompey, Philadelphia Inquirer. How you doing?
I'm doing well. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
You doing better than the Sixers?
Today I am, yeah. Today I am. But
Uh,
when
they
they look at their paychecks, they're doing a whole lot better than me.
Keith, it's now 23 years and counting since the Sixers last appeared in the conference finals. Uh, the process resulted in 13 first round picks, with two still on the team, five second round exits, no Eastern Conference finals, two first round exits,
Wait,
three.
wait. Hold on with all these little statistics. When they lost to the Raptors, what round was that?
That was second round.
Oh,
They
okay.
haven't gotten past the second round.
All right.
That's the suffering. You forget the pain. People were like, oh, if the Sixers lose last night, it'll be bad. Last night's loss isn't even in the top five of the crap that's happened during the process years. So we'll get into that for a sec, but let's talk about what we saw, not just last night, but the last two games, because game five was bonkers too at MSG. So talk about it, because Jeff hasn't allowed me to invest in it, or not has not allowed me, has cautioned against me investing in this because what happened last night would inevitably happen. So talk about what we saw at the end of this series.
It was weird. I mean, when you look at it, it's bad that the 76ers lost, but you have to say that all the games were exciting, right? But it came down to the end for the most part. I mean, I feel like the Sixers, I felt like they became undisciplined a little bit down the stretch for the most part in their games. And what I mean by that is it's like they forgot how to box out at certain times. They left guys open at certain times. And they allowed by that they allowed these guys to shoot the ball extremely well. Now again, they didn't do that in the two games that they won, right? And it was like the other way around. But to me, it was a if you're a Sixers fan, you're a little disappointed about it because you lost in the first round. But at the same time, you do have to say that it was a thrilling thing to watch. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure like the NBA is a little upset or ESPN is upset that they're not going to play again. But it was exciting. But at the same time, as you said, as you alluded to in the beginning, the goal for the 76ers was to get out of the second round. You said that it's been 23 years. And as exciting as that game was, or that series was, they still lost four games. And in regards to the advancing and all this other stuff, you don't get style points for level of play. You get style points for how many rounds of the playoffs have you gone in, and they regressed. You know what I mean? Like this was a year when Nick Nurse came out. He said that we're trying to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. That was the goal, and they couldn't get out of the first round. So this is a disappointment.
Well, I feel a whole lot better now that you've told us that it was an exciting first round.
I knew that was
I
going to
I,
be your
I am I
reaction.
am waiting for the participation trophy that the Sixers are going to hang
Oh,
as a
no
banner.
participation trophy. You don't get a no. You don't get a. You know what? How I say it was exciting first round because here's
Yeah,
the thing: when the game started at 9 o'clock, or the last game started at 9 o'clock.
Don't
So
even
when
start me on that.
yeah,
when
yeah.
yeah,
Jason, please no.
so and the other game was like at 7 and goes to overtime. So people don't realize in order for you to get stuff in the paper, they got these early deadlines. You got to file right when it's over with. But when you file, you have to have a complete story. You can't just file something that's like who won, who lost, stuff like that.
Dude, you could have
So
filed Tobias Harris's story before the damn game started, Keith. Okay, you would have
yeah,
got that one wrong.
yeah, that was a bad experience. But you know what? I kind of knew that he was going to struggle. I did.
Why?
And
What did you see that led you to conclude that he was going to end up with
well, I
zero?
felt like I
By the
felt
way,
like
were you at the arena yesterday?
yeah, I was there.
You
Yeah.
know, you had as many points as Tobias did.
Jeff, you weren't
Woo.
at the arena and you had as many points as Tobias did.
But tell us
It wasn't just
what
that, by the way.
So
Like,
I kind of figured he was going to struggle because, and here's the reason why. I felt like the last game, Joel Embiid played poorly, right? He did. He did score points, but he had a lot of turnovers. It was kind of sort of like people were saying that. I don't know, I'm a little long winded, but I just want to tell y'all, people were saying that Joel, if it wasn't for Maxi, Joel would have had another disappointing closeout game. He would have struggled. I knew right then and there that Tobias wasn't going to get a lot of touches, right? I knew that Tobias would have to go into Buddy Hill, not Buddy Hill. He would have to go into Kelly Oubre mode, whereas you got to be extremely active. You got to crash the board, cuts, do all types of stuff. And Tobias tends to sit around and wait. And he tends for you to pass him the ball in certain things. And then, so I just knew that Joel was going to come out guns a blazing, so to speak, and try to do what he would do. And early on, you saw Tobias wasn't cutting. I said, he's going to have a bad one. But I told people beforehand that I felt like it was going to be that way. And I also told people I thought they were going to lose because it was going to get to a point where not enough people were going to get involved in the offense. And I just felt like uh, the Knicks were hungrier and they were going to come out hungrier than the Sixers at that particular time.
you talked about it right there, hungrier. And we saw the franchise have to buy and give out tickets because the fans are exhausted from this already. It's embarrassing, not of the fans, of the franchise, that you got people who are, we talked about it with the Flyers for years. They're entering into apathy level. Your team goes into the playoffs and nobody thinks they have a shot. Jeff has told me for months, you could buy in, but they're not beating Boston. They're not advancing out. And he was right. So how do the Sixers change this?
I can't wait to clip this part of the show.
Well, look,
I don't know
I'm making it my ringtone.
Unlike you, I will admit when I am wrong. I was wrong when Keith was on the last time. I talked about the bench depth and Nick Nurse, and neither of those were advantages. The bench showed up in the last game, but other than that, they were dominated by the Knicks through this series. Anything that I tried to talk myself into, I was wrong.
I think toughness is inherited, right? I mean, you just got to be a tough dude. Like, I don't think they had it. I think they had it before, and they let the guys go. I mean, they let the guys go. I mean, it got to a point where Joel Embiid's a big guy. He's the star player, but rarely do you see the star player being a guy doing the dirty shots, right? It's normally somebody else, right? Because you don't want that. You want somebody else. But he had to do it, which is a bad sign, right? I just feel like, and as far as you say, where does this team go from here? Dude, I don't know. No one does. Because the reason why I'm going to say that is this is the 7th year that they lost in the playoffs. After the previous 6, afterwards they sat down and they told us we're going to go star hunting. Oh, well, next thing you know, we're going to go get some grimy defensive guys. Guess what? We got Jimmy Butler. We got we got JJ Redick. We got all these types of guys. When that didn't work, then they said we got to get more shooters. Oh no, we got to get a Twin Towers. We got to go out there and get go get what's the guy from Boston,
Al Horford.
Al Horford. We got to get Al Horford. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, now we need some more things. So, dude, it just seems like after every off season, there's always is something that they got to go get. And if you notice, it's always a cycle. You know what I mean? So they got Al Horford, but he was supposed to be the backup center, but he was going to help out. And then what happens? They got rid of him, and now all of a sudden they need a backup center, right?
In fairness, he was a dog here. He was not what he is with the Celtics.
No, I don't think he was a dog. I think what it was is I think they didn't know. I think he was just a bad fit. Because I mean, if you look at it, you know what I mean? Like if you look at it, like I mean, here's the thing, like and this is the thing, Jason. Think about this. Before Jimmy Butler had that playoff series, one of those playoff series, people thought he was trash too. People forget about those 1 and 3 point games, and he would say, "Well, what do y'all expect me to do? I'm doing my role. I'm off in the corner. I'm letting them do what they do. You know what I mean? He would say that. So I feel like when you go out and get a guy like Al Horford, Al's going to take the money because he's like, oh, they're going to pay me that much money. But at the same time, how are you going to utilize them? So when it was the bad part about that is, yes, he did look bad, but the problem was because Ben Simmons couldn't shoot, and Al Horford, because he couldn't shoot, you couldn't run him in the pick and roll or the pick and pop like you normally want to. So it was crazy. Like at first we said him and Embiid couldn't play together, but then when Ben Simmons was hurt, they looked good. They played well together. And then when Embiid wasn't there, he looked good. So I just feel like the Sixers went out there and they keep making mistakes, man. Like now, Buddy Hield saved them last night, even though they lost.
Yeah,
But Buddy Hield
and
saved
why
them
didn't he play the rest of the series?
And why
because
didn't he play in the third quarter after he
yeah,
had
that's the
2
biggest
points in the
question.
second quarter?
Yeah, that was a bizarre thing, and I feel like they talk about adjustments, but they didn't make adjustments. You know how it is. The plan is I'm gonna bring this guy in. He's gonna give me some minutes in the first half, right? Then I'm gonna take him out. But he played so well, they kept him in. But instead, they went back to the game plan and said we're gonna bring him back in the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then he's gonna do it. But at that point, the guy had 17 points. I mean, he was out there looking like Steph Curry,
Mhm.
and but he goes to the bench. So it was a bad display
Yeah,
of
well,
coaching.
here's, as Jason mentioned earlier, you are bordering on apathy with this team. If they go star hunting one more time, by the way, there's not a lot of stars that are free
No.
agents this year.
Oh, we're going to sign
Eh,
34-year-old Paul George to a max contract and have the process result in a bunch of aging players that we can't watch break down.
But there's two problems now. One is Joel Embiid's about to embark on the Olympics while he's not fully healthy, and then we're going to bring him back next year, if even if he is healthy, and the common denominator of all these exits is Joel Embiid. And I'm not saying they would be better without him, but I'm saying that we've never seen what Joel Embiid would look like healthy in the playoffs. Is this team ever going to be, and is he ever going to be the guy that you need for a playoff run, because he's not healthy? He doesn't, either his body can't do it or he doesn't prepare his body to do it. But that's part of your job, is preparing your body for this.
Yeah, it's true. But the only problem with this is, what are you going to get for him? I mean, the Knicks came with an offer of Evan Fournier, um, a couple other people. I mean, like, what are you going to get? Julius Randle. Like, what are you going to get for him? I mean, the thing is, he is a great player, right?
Mm-hmm.
He
No
can't
doubt.
stay healthy. He can't stay healthy. I give you that. But so if he's a great player and he can't stay healthy, are you going to flop? I mean, are you going to flip one of your A-list guys for him? I mean, I'm just asking, are you? So basically, if you get him, you better hope and pray that you can get a lot of draft picks, and hope and pray that the 76ers fans are willing to go through process part two. because like, who, I mean, if are you okay? So he's an MVP type candidate. If you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, and not saying they don't need them because they already have who they have, right?
Right.
If you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, are you going to give up Anthony Edwards for Joel Embiid?
No.
No. If you're the Oklahoma City Thunder, would you give up Shea for him?
No, but I
No.
would maybe send draft picks to partner him with Shea and those young guys, maybe, if I'm a franchise like that.
Yeah, see that, but then that's what I'm saying. You're going
I
to
don't know
get
if the
drafted, but the
Sixers want to
problem
do
is,
that.
here's the problem with that now. They got the number one. They got the worst pick in the draft now. I mean, or the second, right, or one of the
Mm-hmm.
one of the top ones, because they had the best record in the West. So their first round pick isn't going to be like how it was back in the day, unless they give you somebody. If they still got other
Somebody
people, which
else's
they
pick. Yeah.
probably do, somebody else's.
They
So
seem
it's
to
like,
have everybody's picks.
yeah, they had. So what I'm just trying to say is, it's like, I don't know if you. Don't get me wrong, Joel is a great player, but I don't know if if teams have what he's worth, even though he's banged up. So you're basically going to be rebuilding. And I don't know if they want to rebuild. I mean, if you put it this way, if you take Joel Embiid off that team, they were a lottery team, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They were a lottery team. They were like the Spurs, the Washington Wizards. I mean, think about it. They were struggling to beat these teams when Joel wasn't there, right? So to me, it's kind of like I don't think the people in Philly want to go through that, especially if they're trying to buy a new arena.
Well,
They're not getting a new arena.
And
that,
you can't you look you right now you got Joel Embiid and you got people you got people giving the tickets to Knicks fans.
I was gonna say, how many other tickets are they gonna have to buy at the new arena? Like, if they don't solve the fundamental problem that this team doesn't win, it won't matter how many stadiums they build. It just won't matter. They'll win the headline. They'll get a flashy piece of glass in the city and they'll lose. And eventually they'll lose money and sell because the attendance will go down. You don't lose money with an NBA team, but they won't make as much money. And that's really all they care about. Look, Josh
Yeah.
Harris wasn't here for the playoff game. He was at the draft. All right. We know that his attention is split now between three franchises. And under his watch, we've had three general managers. I get that the NBA stepped in and made one of them happen. The other one had a burner. I get it. The storylines are crazy.
Well, he did hire them.
He did. We've had three head coaches. We've had stars. We've had picks. And you say trade them for picks. We've drafted. We were going to go look for shooters. Isaiah Joe's shooting someplace. Mikal Bridges is shooting someplace. Like, we had guys who we drafted that we either didn't let shoot or didn't step on the damn court to shoot in the first place. So
even Haywood Highsmith is making a name for himself with Miami. Haywood Highsmith. How many times did we interview that guy when he was with the Blue Coats?
So it's like, I don't have faith in the organizational structure at this point. So I get that Daryl Morey might have $60 million to spend in max slots. If he spends it on Paul George, who comes in and has an ailing knee with Joel Embiid's ailing knee, and it's Tyrese Maxey and a bunch of scrubs because they can't afford a bench, what are we even doing here?
Yes, that's the big question, man. You're not doing the daggone thing. Because the funny part is, when you look at it, we can say all we want, right? You know who the number one free agent is? And he's a restricted free agent. But who's the number one free agent this summer?
Tyrese Maxey.
Tobias
Yep.
Harris.
No, it's Tyrese Maxey.
Right.
A restricted free agent is the number one free agent this summer. So it's kind of like you said, there's not a lot out there. Like OG, if people are going to bring his name up, like if New York is allowing him to give him some freedom that Nick Nurse never gave him, you think he's going to leave that? Especially with the excitement that's going on in New York right now in that market, he's not leaving. And then you look at Pascal Siakam. You know what I mean? Look, they just beat the Bucks, right? He's a vital part of that. And do you think he wants to come here and be in Joel Embiid's shadow? Nah. Like, so those are two guys that's coming off. The thing about Paul George, Paul George is like, yeah, I mean, you think you want to come here, but do you really want to come here? Especially after you have a conversation with James Harden and he's telling you stuff. So then you look at LeBron James, like, oh, well, okay, well, we'll get LeBron James, but LeBron's about to be 40. Now, I do like it. It sounds good, right? He could be a third guy. It sounds all this and that. But, you know, is that the guy you're going to give all your money to?
Yeah, but you're also going to get Bronny James.
Yeah, you're going to get Bronny. Bronny's going to be the two guard. And Melton's out of the picture.
Everything about this conversation right now, Keith. This is like the kind of stuff and these are legitimate conversations right now going on, but these are the kind of things that like fantasy drafters do that Jeff would kill me for even talking about. And yet these are the legitimate options for the best freedom we've ever had.
Yeah. I mean, but you know what, man, it's the legitimate option. But the scary part about these options, they all said that they were options years ago when they went star hunting, before they went out there and got Jimmy Butler. Think about it. Jimmy Butler great player. But Jimmy Butler was like a B-list type of guy, all-star. Like they won after Paul George, they won after Kawhi, they won after LeBron. They couldn't get any of them. So they said, let's trade for Jimmy, right? Let's trade for Jimmy. And Jimmy was great. You know, he was an all-star, but he hadn't ascended into the Jimmy Butler that's leading Miami to two championship
And he had a
appearances.
reputation of being a
Yeah,
difficult teammate at the
yeah, he
time.
had a reputation of being a difficult teammate at the time, right?
We know
So,
he got a
so
run
the,
on us too.
so the thing is, it's kind of like, you know, you say you want something, but at the same time, it's kind of like a wait and see. I mean, for now, what we know is they can't get out of the second round. They couldn't get out of the first round. You know, Nick Nurse was supposed to be the answer. He may be the answer next year, but he wasn't this year. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, the thing is, you know, if Brett Brown would have not put Buddy Hield in the game in the third quarter, he would have been vilified. If Doc Rivers would have done that, it would have been memes out there with him. You know, rap songs about saying how bad of a coach he is. You know what I mean? So the crazy thing with this franchise, it's the same thing keeps happening over and over again. It's just different names on the back of the jersey and different coaches. Joel Embiid gets injured annually, right? There's always a coaching decision that we're questioning, right? Lack of adjustment, and 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 it just seems like the team just tends to be soft. And then when they're tough, you don't have no shooters. So that's the problem. Like, there's been questionable trades, especially recently. Like, there's been guys like Kyle Lowry didn't score a point. I think that he's a good point guard, but I think he's a point guard. He's not a two guard. Like, they got him off the ball, right? So him and Tobias didn't score. Buddy Hield, he had one good game. It was a good game, but he had one good game. Think about the trades that they made in the past. The same thing. They were bringing these guys in, and remember George Hill? Remember George Hill? Everybody thought he was
Don't
going
go
to be
there.
there.
Don't go
Yeah,
there.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying though. Like, it
Look.
was a lot of that. It was a lot of that, dude. It's been a lot.
Well, here's the deal. You have the unfortunate task now of going to a very unhappy building and seeing what's going on there. I just get to deal with Jason for the rest of the show.
Yeah, he's gonna have an unhappy Jason. We'll read about it all at Pompey on Sixers in the Inquirer. Keep Pompey. Thanks for giving us first-hand account of it all, and we'll talk to you in the offseason, man.
Yeah, let's go Giants for my man's son. I'm wishing him well. You know what I mean?
All right,
Hey,
we'll have
how
him
about
on soon.
I'll let you
yeah?
get
But you know,
a go
The
Giants on that
Eagles
one.
were in the building. The Eagles were in the building last night.
That worked
Yeah,
out well.
they should have had
Yeah.
Saquon ring the bell. Have a good one.
So was Bradley Cooper.
Deuces.
See you later.